A Twist in Time, Chapter 33, Into the Pyramid. Under the cover of darkness, Adora and the other rebels enter the pyramid belonging to Queen Elena, Catra's mother, to ask for guidance from the Ghost Queen. Two golden statues, in the Queen's likeness, from her youth, stand outside to guard the dead in the afterlife. Inscriptions of Half-Moon's hieroglyphs decorate the pyramid of the fallen queen. Catra had laid the body of her mother to rest, having the queen's remains buried in her burial chambers, the pyramid having been finished around the time that Catra was born, many years prior. The Ghost Queen appears in a brilliant light to her daughter-in-law and the other remaining princesses. What brings you to my chamber, Shiva Etheria? The ghost of Elena asked softly, as she didn't want to frighten any of the rebels. I seek your guidance, your majesty. My wife and child are out there in space somewhere. The gods only know what is happening to them. No need to be so formal, Adora. You may call me Elena. You are my daughter-in-law, and are part of my family. Yes, well, is there any way you can relay a message to Catra? Adora asked the ghost of her mother-in-law. Very well, but I sense great evil. Elena vanishes, leaving the planet to find her daughter and grandchild have been both chipped. With great haste, the Ghost Queen makes it back to her tomb.
Asura, Catra and Miara, they have both been chipped. You must hurry, the fire ruby is offline. And the lions, I cannot hold them much longer. Save my Catra. Shiva of Etheria, I will be with you.
Elena vanishes inside her sarcophagi to slumber once again until she is needed. For the honor of Grayskull! Adora chants as she raises her sword, transforming into She-Ra. Back on Prime's ship, Catra had tried to fight off the clones, but was quickly overpowered. Without the fire ruby, the lion's eye was practically useless. Just another jewel on the queen's neck. Prime's clones gather over the feline queen, taking her to be judged by the great Horde Prime. All beings must suffer to become pure, the clones shout as the Queen of Half-Moon received her judgment. I offered peace, this foul creature fought my hospitality. Now I, Prime, sentence you to be purified. I see all, I know all. Prime shouts as his clones cheer, bowing before their master. My wife will stop you, Prime. Mark my words, She-Ra is coming. Catra spat before she is taken to the same pool her daughter had been tricked into entering. Zombified Miara stands watching. On one side of the room, Prime's wife and daughter, standing on the other, hoods over their heads. Catra screams in agony as the parasite enters her neck without an anesthetic. The Ghost Queen had sensed two other Magicats aboard the mothership, but had failed to mention it to Adora. These mysterious felines were of Etheria, but of an unknown kingdom. Their fur dark and shadow-like in appearance. Inside the minds of Catra and her daughter, they both cry out for help. Adora had to find some way to outer space. She had heard rumors of a First Wind ship somewhere out in the desert. She takes the remaining princesses, the ones that had come with her, Scorpia, Perfuma, and Trepta, with her. The kids having stayed back with King Bo, Mermista, Natasas, Benarella, and Frosta, as well as the other rebel fighters. The small group of princesses travels on Swiftwind's back for most of the way, but the horse could only go so far before needing a drink of water. This is as far as I go, Swifty snorts, Adora smiling at her steed. hugging him before he flaps his mighty wings, making his way back to the hidden rebellion camp. The rest of the way, the group travels on foot through the Crimson Waste. Back in the fight zone, Technissa has taken control of the Horde in her father's absence. I want the head of She-Ra. Bring her to me, veil me, and I can show you that I am not as nice as my father. Force Captain Lonnie bows, taking her troops out in search of the very elusive She-Ra. This was going to be the end of the rebellion. She would make sure of that. She might be older, but Lonnie knew a thing or two about knocking the rebels to their knees, and she knew just what to do. Shadow Weaver stands at the side of her new leader, eyes narrowed behind her mask. You know, Technissa, even though your father is away, the Horde still belongs to him. This does not concern you, Weaver. My father trained me for this moment. You will do as I command. The pale, pointy-eared girl roars as she takes the sorceress in a chokehold, using her telekinetic powers. Yes, my lady. Shadow Weaver pleads for her life as the daughter of Hordak constructed her body. Good. And Weaver, send for Scorfina. I wish to have a word with her. The telekinetic princess sits on her father's throne. As you wish, your grace. Shadow Weaver hisses before vanishing into a foggy mist. Interrupta had left her daughter in the hands of her father, thinking that maybe Hordak could give the princess a better life. Technissa had known of her mother and father's little arrangement, as Hordak had told her at a young age. The red-haired girl had a dark temper and resentment towards her mother's abandonment of her in her younger years. While the princess got extra treatment from her father, real food from outside of the Horde, it wasn't the same. Deep down, in the dark mass Technissa had called a heart, was a girl who longed for her mother's warmth embrace. She hid this pain well, under the guise of anger. Like Mjolnir, she only wanted to be accepted by those around her. Once in the depths of the desert, She-Ra would make her way to Mara's ship. There was a light at the end of the tunnel. She-Ra was coming to save the day. A long journey awaits her as she journeys to outer space.